I'm curious to get your thoughts of like, where's your head at when it comes to why EXP? Why, for someone who's thinking about joining, like building their own shop, like why instead of them building their own shop, their own brokerage, their own team, should they be aligning with us?
I've already done it. We've already done it. I can tell you that it's a really long road to run down. I can tell you that the amount of things that come into play that the traditional salesperson doesn't even think about when it comes to owning a company, it's insane. There's so much that goes on. The majority of my day is I'm in meetings like fixing systems that are breaking so that the people around me don't even understand that something broke. And that's like corporate America as well. It's, Google is a massive tech company and tech always breaks. So they have this crazy amount of folks, back behind the scenes. So look, if you want to go down that journey and you're thinking about doing it, then, certainly have a conversation with us before you do it, because we can map out how you can essentially do that within our umbrella, let us absorb costs. You can still remain with whatever level of profitability you're seeking off those agents and grow, because people are either they're really good at sales, they're really good at recruiting, or they're really good at building systems. And you can be like two out of three of them, and nobody's ever really good at all of them. So there's going to be something that's going to drop off, and I think that's where they could really align with us and make sure that we also hold them accountable to that. People don't even think about leading leaders is a whole different skill that I had to learn, and I worked with my coach, Bill Pipes. You probably know him. He was with Tom Ferry and John Cheplack. Yep. But I had to work with him all about how to, what books do I need to be reading? What do I need to, how do I inspire a leader to inspire a leader to inspire an agent, And
so crazy to think about.
And any of these bigger companies that you're really looking at, nobody sees, you look at EXP, nobody sees Glenn Sanford from 2009 to 2016 when it sucked. Everybody sees him from 2019 till now.
Yeah, rather think it's cake.
Yeah, and that guy just had his eye on the prize, and there's a lot of people out there trying to build companies like that don't make it.
I mean, there's several companies right now that are struggling massively because their margin's below and they're about to go under.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and that's a big reason as to why we had the conversation in the first place, because it's like, I love doing the business.
Yep.
But I know my weak points.
Yep.
What's that saying? Like, again, if you want to run fast, go by yourself, but you want to run far, you go with others.
Yep.
It's like, I really think that there's something special when you run with leaders and killers, that like, and sharks, that the people who are like really going to take this industry by storm. Because I think there's something incredibly special there, but like, because I keep talking to these agents that they want to have their own team, which comes from ego, by the way.
Yep.
Which, again, I want to make more money and want to have your face everywhere. It comes from, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Yep.
But there's a level of ego, which is like, okay, hey, it is totally okay to say like, hey, I'm not good at management. I'm not good at recruiting. I'm not good at these few things. I'm a fantastic salesperson and I want to make more money. And maybe, you're thinking like, hey, I want to make more money. And like the only way I can do that is recruiting more people and making a little bit on all them, which is totally okay to think about. But if you align with a company and a brand like ours, where you could like have all that support handled, you don't have the crazy overhead, you don't have any of the management BS that you have to normally deal with your own company or your own team. It's just like you can go so much faster, so much farther with that. And it's like, why do you crave overhead? Why do you crave issues with team, like you're with management?
I don't. I'm just too into it at this point. Too far down the rabbit hole. Nobody ever craves it. No, but it's like, and it goes back to like your first question that you were talking about too, just being a single agent and selling, with admin staff around you. It's like, that's a simpler life.
100% simpler.
But it's not. There's something about anybody like myself or yours, like we actually want to help agents be better. And I feel like that's why we do what we do. So we look at it as like, here's our SOP, here's how you can plug into our model, here's how, the courses that you can bring your agents that you're bringing in, and here's what we look for on, an agent that we think would thrive within our umbrella, and here's who I would kind of push away too. And we try to make it really easy so that, that team leader or that brokerage owner that wants to come plug into our model, they just thrive, they just soar.
Yeah, and I've seen like several agents and teams plug in and explode.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like when you have the right systems in place and all you have to think about as that team leader who brought on 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 agents, or that solo agent who can just plug right in and say like, oh wow, like all I have to do actually to make money right now or make more money is just go sell. And I don't have to worry about a single thing after I talk to that client and or go on that appointment and get a contract signed. I mean, like it is like all of a sudden being attached to a rocket ship and being able to explode with the not only ease of life, but ease of just like the business in general. I would definitely want to talk about quickly here is like in your personal experience here, now talking to an agent around like someone who goes, I love the people at my brokerage. Because I hear this all the time. This is my biggest pet peeve of when I talk to people. I love my broker, but I'm like, you're making 60 grand a year, you've never made more than 60 grand a year, you've been telling me you want to make 100 or 150, 200, and you're struggling, yet you love your broker, and you think like clearly you're at a place where maybe you're not getting support. What do we say to those people?
Continue to love your broker. No, I mean I feel like I put a piece of content out recently that was all around that. Is what they're really saying is I'm complacent, I'm scared. I loved Keller Williams. I really did. I was like bleeding red. That was a great company. I loved my owner when my OP, Renee Condon, when we left, I spent 2 hours with her getting coffee and everything like that. But I knew that I had tapped out on the value within that organization, and I knew that if I wanted to get to where I wanted to go, I'd have to continue to pay other coaches and stuff while still paying a hefty cap, because it was before an EXP came through our area. Discomfort is what causes people to make, or you're going to experience discomfort while you're growing, and that's like one of the main things that you have to lean in on.
Yeah.
So it's not that you love your broker, it's that you love being comfortable and you don't actually want to do what you need to do in order to grow your business. And honestly, you could probably make more than 60 grand in your own brokerage too. It's just he or she is not giving you that kick in the butt to get you out of that complacent state, because 60 grand, I can tell you, is not why you swiped your credit card when you first went to get your real estate license.
Agreed.
It's not what, go work at Home Depot. You can,
Yeah, it's like, why go through all the stress of this business? It's like, this is the hardest 50 or 60 grand you'll ever make in your life.
Yeah.
So I really want to start like breaking the mold here and like really like asking the tough questions. What do you feel like realtors don't know? One thing you're like, I just do not understand this. They don't or they don't see it. They don't get it. What are you seeing right now in the marketplace?
One thing that drives me crazy, and this is more on the residential side of things, I guess commercial too, I see it. I feel like there's no reason to have conversations outside of normal business hours. I mean, maybe stretch it a little bit, but like, I think that realtors don't know anything about standards or boundaries or anything like that. Everything's always a sense of urgency. So to really tie it in, realtors don't know anything about mindset. Like realtors don't know how to actually control their thoughts and their mindset, and that's where this whole thing kind of starts. I was talking to a good buddy of mine, Jeff Silva, earlier on the phone today, and he's like, if I'm not working out first thing in the morning, the rest of my day is just kind of thrown off from it.
Sure.
Because it's like health is my number one, and the rest all thrives if I'm taking care of my number one thing.
Yeah,
I think
see
mindset's like such a neglected thing.
Yeah, it's like almost like your entire day from like open to close of your business per se, right? Is like you're on a listing appointment. And like I wouldn't call my friend John and just like quote shoot the shit with John during business hours when I could be lead generating and making more money during these hours. Like, hey John, like why don't we chat at this time later tonight or this weekend, but like right now isn't a good time for us to quote shoot the shit for 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with that.
And you have like too, like the compounding effect of how fast, like we're already, we're shooting this in June. We're already just about done with Q2 in 2023, which is just insane. I feel like the last 3 years have just blown past.
Yep.
But you have the agents that like, they'll have that extra glass of wine in the evening, or they'll do like one, and I'm guilty, I've done it too, and this is why I'm able to speak from it, but like, think about how many things throughout your whole career have just added up where you're not playing at 100% the next day because you didn't do something right to take care of yourself prior to that. So.
Yeah, and it's like, this makes me think about like the sports teams where like you have that one player on the team that goes out every night, that doesn't take it seriously, that guess what, that brings down the whole team.
Yep.
And what's interesting is like that whole team per se, for those agents who don't have a team, all of a sudden now you are the whole team.
Right.
And it's like, think about how your business is going to perform if that is happening.
Yeah.
And it's so freaky to me.
Yeah.
It's actually insane.
It's just like, and it's little subtle tweaks too. Like I used to play, music can have a wild difference in your state and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I would just play like Rage Against the Machine or something, getting prepped for an appointment, and think about like that. Think about how many appointments you've been on as a realtor that you didn't show up and play a lot at. And it's like you talk about pro athletes. Yeah, you're going into the Super Bowl. Like those guys are playing all out, and that's why they're the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. And our goal is to make sure that you don't have to be that, but like let's get you better than you were today. Let's get you better than you were yesterday, and that's where this thing starts to get traction.
So do you subscribe that success is 80% mindset, 20% actions and strategies, or?
Yeah, 1000%. I see so many agents that don't have the natural talent or don't have the skill set and stuff like that, but they have the mindset that makes them show up day in and day out. And you actually can't screw up. You and I were in the office down in Red Bank yesterday. You made your calls. You can't fail if you just make your calls.
Agreed.
But we can make the language better on the phone so they sound as sharp as you do when you're talking to the consumer. But like if you can't get to that, then if you can't get to the actual call, if you can't get to the repetitive boredom that goes into this business, we can't help you.
And when it comes to like minimum metrics, you're talking to an agent right now. What's like a minimum standard for someone like how many calls they got to make? Like what are you thinking?
I think that somebody should be making a minimum of 20 contacts a day. If you don't have like a full book of business and you're not super busy, Chris Correa, who's in our commercial world, 30 contacts like that every single day.
Well, so like a funny thing, like right, I was actually talking. Me and Brandon were talking about this in the car, right? On 55 minutes on my live calling session today, I had like 14 conversations, 14 contacts, and 3 leads. in 55 minutes.
Yeah.
And there are people who go, I can't make 20 contacts a day. Mind blowing to me. I was talking to a bunch of agents recently today, also during my training session, and I was talking about how a minimum metric for me is 40 to 100 leads a month. Do you have a minimum metric for leads?
Not today, not necessarily.
No, not for you personally. I'm saying for the teammate. Like when you're talking to an agent.
We go based on contacts. That's really where I focus. It's 20 contacts a day. It's what you should be doing. You know, I really think that if you do 240 contacts per month, if that's where you're breaking down, you should have one pending transaction as a result of that. So the in the middle.
So 20 a day, 100 a week, 400 a month.
Well, yeah, and we're giving people days off. I really think like 240 is kind of where, like you just said, you made 14 in 55 minutes. It's Tom Ferry talks about. It's the hour of power. It's like you don't really need to.
We're not talking 18 hours a day here.
Yeah, you don't need to like just blow yourself out. You need to be consistent and you need to be doing that. So I just think 20 is a good measurable, and you're allowed to have days off. You're allowed to go play tennis. You're allowed to go do whatever you want. But when you're working, you're disciplined. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're playing all out, and not just going through the motions of those conversations. And that's going to lead to the pending transaction.
Interesting. Yeah, because like I've been trying to push people where like my biggest thing with an agent is really just I want to raise your minimum standard.
Yeah.
Minimum. Like if the only thing I could do to help you is raise your minimum standards in each aspect of your business, your minimum contact count, your minimum lead generation numbers, your minimum appointment metrics, your minimum appointment conducted metrics, your minimum contracts written metrics. If I just can raise your mental standards of each of these things, it will be impossible for you to make less money than you did last year.
Yeah.
How important do you feel like it's like, again, you know, talking to an agent, like commercial agent, struggling in the business right now, the contacts is different.
Yeah.
Slightly different. At least, right? Like, do you still say the 20 contacts a goal? Like, you know, how do you treat it that way?
Yeah, so like Chris Korea, for instance, he's only commercial and he's 30 contacts a day and he hits it. Like you're gonna get busy where it's gonna pull you off from that. But let's just use that a struggling agent that's like making less than 100 grand a year that needs that full reset and stuff like that. I really think 20 is a good number. And like you said, you just hit 14 in 55 minutes. You should be putting 2 hours a day into this, into just lead gen. And then around that you have, you know, you should be working 50 or 60 hours a week, in my opinion.
Especially if you're not making the money you want.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of extra time in the day to be doing research and stuff like that. But to go back to the comfort zones and whatnot, previewing properties or meeting with people that you know aren't going to transact, that getting lunch with somebody and grabbing 2 beers and stuff, that's the stuff that like you don't actually have a jam-packed, high-income producing day. And we want to make sure that, you know, yesterday you were like, hey, can let's grab lunch. And I was like, I'm at Surf Taco eating a burrito as fast as I can because I have another meeting in 15 minutes. That's what we want to get the agents to. We want their day to be like jam-packed so at the end of the day, they go home, they knew that they played all out, and they can sleep well at night.
Interesting to me because the agents that I feel like are struggling the most are the agents who are blatantly not making the calls.
Yep.
Just not going out and doing those minimum daily activities.
Yeah.
Like we're not talking rocket science.
Yeah.
You know, and then those are the agents that are really falling behind. Like those are the ones struggling, those are the ones that are not making 100.
If I pay you $1,000 a day and I follow you around all day, will you make me my $1,000 back? And everybody was like, yes. It was something along the lines of that. But basically saying, like, if you think of it that way, if you have an agent that's struggling and we're just both like, all right, cool. Well, now you're on a salary for 500 grand a year from both of us, and we're going to sit next to you all day long. You think you're going to make it? And it's like, they know what they need to do.
Yeah.
They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And they're just hiding behind, you know, the awareness that they already have, and there's no integrity in what it is they're doing. You and I can say the same about ourselves. We're not making $10 million a year right now because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Sure.
You know, like it's an awareness of whatever level you want to be at, and there's a discomfort that creates growth and really pushing that envelope.
So I wanted to talk exactly about that. What are the differences between an agent who makes 100 a year, or 100 to 200, versus someone who makes $1 million plus? Because obviously, we have a lot of friends in the business as well who make substantial, crazy money in this business.
Like an activity that I always like to do is really look at, you know, what does your schedule look like? What are you doing day in and day out? What are you spending time on that you should not be spending time on? I also see a lot of agents that are making 100 a year and they are jam-packed with like low price point things too. You know, right now here in New Jersey, if you have a buyer for 300 grand, you're getting smoked all day in bidding wars. Yep. Like it's really not a good use of your time.
Agreed.
And you're gonna be burning the candle from both ends working in that. So elevating price points an easy tweak to a lot of things too. You're talking about like if I can create a new standard for you in all areas of your life, I think that price point's just such a simple fix. And like we had an agent the other day, this is on the residential side of things, which she was saying, you know, I don't want to service this area and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you should move out of the area.
Agreed. And like, I literally have an agent, a guy named Logan, shout out to you, man. out in Michigan.
Yep.
And his town that he grew up in, where his average price point was like $250. Like, what's the biggest metro near you? And he, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was like, great, I need you to move there and or prospect only there. It's like 50-ish minutes away.
Yep.
But it's like, dude, we just tripled your price point.
Yep.
And you did nothing else except you're prospecting 45 minutes away. And it's like those simple fixes that people aren't even paying attention to here.
Yeah, and I think that anybody who's going to be over like the net $1 million mark, it has price point. They're, obviously there's systems and they do well with what they do, but price point ties heavily into that.
Great control of their schedules, great control of like their minimum metrics. They're really honing down on that. And I'm hearing you say they have good price points. Anything else that you'd like to point out?
And then the mindset, just like the mindset to make sure that you don't go back towards what you're trying to escape from. I had to deal with it. I was at the rental shop, so I was doing a ton of rentals. It's very difficult for me to transition into sales. My next transition was into the buyer side of things. I was working with a lot of buyers. Then it was very difficult to transition into listings. But I had to do it, and I did it. And then from there, it was very difficult to transition out of working with buyers and then out of working with residential clients altogether. And then, it's just, you have to make the decision to stop doing something you're already doing if you want to get to another level. And the people who are making over $1 million a year constantly make those decisions.
It's like, if you want to get to the next level, you need to stop doing something right now that's holding you back. Because like you're doing like the run rate average of like $100,000 a year activity.
Exactly.
Right? And like from $1 million to $10 million, this is the same thing. It's like you're doing things right now that are in the $1 million range, which you need to stop doing because those are holding you back from going bigger.
And Matthew Ferry is another one of my coaches and mentors I've worked with a lot on the mindset side of things. He always said, like, you're making exactly what you want to make. So like you need to have that reason. If you want to go 7 figures on something, you need to have that, not necessarily a why around it. I don't think the why, I think that gets thrown around a lot, but you have to have a plan on where you're going to spend that money because it's not going to just show up.
Agreed.
Yeah.
With our goal of going to a $10 billion in transactional volume, we're looking for players who want to run with us, right-minded individuals, people who love the training, the culture, the mindset, who love investment properties. What other characteristics are we looking for?
I just think that people don't overthink things. Like, I don't need that highly analytical person that's going to be like, if I do that, if I don't, like, we just want an action-based, like, this business is so simple. It really is. It's a contact sport. You just have conversations with folks. They become leads. They become appointments. They become transactions. They become commissions. There's like no need to overcomplicate it. You do need to know what you're talking about, and you can get deeper in each conversation with that. But even in the beginning, the simplicity of like, no, I just, hey, you can literally say to somebody, no, I actually just started this job. I'm brand new to this, but my senior broker Henry is he's here to make sure that I don't screw up at all. Blah blah blah. Or you consider like hand it off if they're considering selling or something. You just actually need somebody to raise their hand. Yeah. And I hate to use Boiler Room as an example of that movie because it's negative context and stuff like that. But that's really that's the model. It's like we need folks that want to be having conversations with people that want to transact in real estate over $10 million. And if you're one of those people that has no issues playing big and wants to not get overthink the simplicity of this world, then let's rock and roll. Let's do it. But if you're going to be in your head and you're a mental case and stuff, and you love your family at your brokerage and making your $60,000 a year, you should probably stay there.
And I just like how again we're building on an environment where not only the culture is fantastic, you have great training, great mentorship, all the systems and processes in place where literally all I need to do when I plug in as someone like myself or someone someone on there come up and trying to make great money is just prospect. If I can get so good at prospecting with all the systems and processes in place that I don't have to deal with management, I don't have to deal with marketing, I don't have to deal with that, and all these other things that get in my way and distract me every single day. I just get to prospect. I love that you're bringing that up. Let's talk about the events that we got going on. So someone who's thinking hey, I'm thinking about this sounds awesome. I'd love to be a part of this. I'm excited. I'm going to talk about 2 different ways, but one of which is the event. So let's talk about the event a little bit.
So July 12th, we're going to do a Central Jersey. We haven't fully landed on the location yet, but we want to make it accessible for folks kind of throughout the tri-state area, not too far from New York City. That's going to be more of like a mixer style event where it's like networking and just getting people together. I think that's really important. And we've even talked about too, you can't come in the door unless you have one off-market property that you can share with the organization. So, kind of making it fun around that. We haven't decided exactly what it's going to be, but yeah, same thing. Just a simple event where people can get together and get to know each other. I think that the network has really died down in this post-COVID world, so we're going to bring it back.
Cool. Yeah. So we're going to be again July 12th. 4:30 p.m. There is going to be a link down below for you to register if you're interested in having the conversation. Make sure you check that out. There again, link in the description. Check that out. Register ASAP, and we'll have all the details there. These are for agents that are tri-state and by the way, if you're out of state, make sure that you register as well. And we're going to find a way for them to tune in, whether it's a Zoom or something. It'll be for at least a portion of it. We can also find a way to other people out of state that we can try to get them in there.
And then we have the whole, the virtual component with what you're doing too. We have Mondays with Maggie, you have Wednesdays with you. You had another event too, right? Earlier in July.
Yeah. So we also have an investor meetup, which again, if you're local, in the tri-state area, I'd love for you to stop by as well, which is July 6th at 6 p.m. We'll send all the details will be down below. You can register to that. Super focused on just investors, and if you want to meet a bunch of amazing people and you want to show your hand, if you're local, love to see you in person. This would be a super cool event as well. Yeah. So I mean, besides that, what do you think is some final thoughts you want to be sharing to the audience or an agent who's listening right now?
My whole thing with what I'm doing right now is awareness, simplicity, don't overcomplicate that, woo-sa, calm down the brain, the mindset around it. And the nice thing with us is you can sample it. You want to take the Ferrari for a test drive? Come on out. You can come hang with us and kind of see what it feels like. And it's our goal to make sure that we're adding enough value where you want to take a deeper dive.
Yeah, well, look, thank you for being on here, man. I'm excited for what we create. And for those of you, again, who are interested in joining us, make sure you go in the description down below, check out the links, register ASAP. Other than that, we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.
If you're still watching this video, that means to me that you're a committed real estate agent and you're looking to take your life and business to the next level. I'm just curious, why have you yet to schedule your free, no obligation coaching consultation? All you have to do is simply go in the description down below, and people are telling me this call has been the most unbelievable, the most powerful call they've had in their entire career. And here's just a few of the individuals who have taken full advantage of this call. And my mission is to support as many realtors as possible, build a 6- and 7-figure net income business so that they don't have to rely on this industry anymore for their everyday income. If you're a committed realtor, which I can seem like you are, all you have to simply do to take full advantage of this free coaching consultation is to go in the description down below and schedule your free call now.